Okay, so let's send a challenge.
Here is challenging. Nice graphics, easy to see. What are you thinking about? You're looking how it can be the most painful?
Exactly. Okay, fine.
That I give up a phone. He wants to be even rude.
Welcome to the new Chess24 playing experience. Play in light mode or dark mode. Choose from a range of time controls or create a custom game. And get paired with players from around the world, fast. Enjoy a polished playing experience while making moves on a fresh, responsive board to claim your victories. Train and improve with over 80,000 puzzles. And that's not all. Download now and discover what more you can enjoy in our brand new app.
He played the Berlin, which I sort of expected, but I didn't really know what to do against, because in reality very few people do.
When we are playing an even game against someone of similar strength to us, usually we need to give something in order to obtain the initiative.
Just how shrewd and cunning Alireza can be, even with very little time.
I want to show you a game just to prove that I play these lines that I played against former world number 2 and a bit of a superstar, Gatakamsky.
Hi there, everyone. My name's Daniel King. I'm a Grandmaster, and I'm here for this AMA. And thank you for all your questions. So I'm just going to go through from the top, from the first question that was put on the wall here. So here we go. I'm going to start with, and of course, if you've got questions you want to throw at me, then while I'm speaking, then please do join in and throw them at me, and I'll try and get to them. But it's going to take me some time to get through everything. Okay, so welcome everyone, and I believe that there will be a transcript of my answers afterwards, as I understand it. So here we go. Let's start with the first question, which is from Endgame Winner. What do you think is the best chess game you ever played? Wow. Do you know what? Whenever we win a game of chess, we feel good. Sometimes you could say that there are some which were very, very difficult, and there are some which had kind of significance. So the one that has, for me, maybe the greatest significance was when I beat Vachier-Lagrave in Calcutta in 1992. And well, I ended up winning the tournament. In fact, somebody asked me a question about this later on. And that, of course, was a tough game, not a spectacular game. But for me, that was one of the best games I've ever played. But if you're talking about maybe one of the most beautiful I've played, then there's one that I played in the Swiss League against Andrei Sokolov. Now, Andrei Sokolov, originally from Russia, 1980s. Well, he did very well in the Soviet championships, and play it with a serious pedigree. And I played him in a game in the Swiss League. This must have been around about 2000, and I managed to march my king all the way up the board from the first rank to the 8th rank in a queen end game, and it was a beautiful Zugzwang position that ended the game. And for me, that's one of the best games I ever played, and that, for me, that has a wonderful memory. I've probably talked too long about that. Let's move on to another question. So next question, Stefan Lam, or Stefana Lam, says, I have a chess YouTube channel, SLK Chess. Do you have any advice on how to grow a chess YouTube channel? Well, frankly, you're probably asking the wrong person, because I have a YouTube channel and I have, let me see, around about 92,000 subscribers, which is okay, but frankly, nothing compared to, the maestros like Gotham Chess and Agad Martor, who have over 1 million subscribers. So I'm a complete patzer when it comes to YouTube channels and social media. I'm just hopeless at it, basically. They always say that if you're controversial, then that helps with algorithms. It generates a lot of heat, which generates a lot of interest. And I, on my YouTube channel, try to make it really instructive, and I don't generally get involved in controversy. So that's probably why mine isn't that popular. And I don't generally do collabs with other channels either. Again, probably a huge mistake. So it's good to link up with other people. I don't do that. Basically, I just do my own thing. So I'm not very professional about it, probably because I have lots of other activities I'm involved in. And I find it difficult to devote much time to it. Oh yeah, posting regularly as well. So, if you post daily, that's fantastic. Or even more than once a day, that will really help you. I don't do that. Like I said, I'm busy with other things. So, all right, to sum up, post daily at least. It helps to be controversial, and do collabs with other people. There you go. Those 3 things I don't do, and I probably should do. Right, let's move on. Hello, Daniel King. How are you? Azerbaijani chess player. Love you very much. Well, that's very, very nice to hear. I played a tournament in Baku in 1986, in the good old days of, I have to whisper it, the Soviet Union. What do you think of the Nyman and Magnus scandal? Oh boy! By the way, I should say I've been to Baku twice, in 1986 and also 30 years later in 2016, and really enjoyed my time in Baku. Beautiful city. Okay, well, we may as well address the big topic of the moment, Hans Nyman and Magnus Carlsen. My feeling is that really any judgment should be based on evidence. And so far, we haven't been shown any evidence. And I dislike the way that Magnus just dropped, it just made insinuations without providing evidence. And, frankly, if Magnus loses a game over the board and then withdraws from a tournament, well, that doesn't look great, does it? If he'd withdrawn at the start of the tournament because he disagreed with Nyman's, it's not Nyman, it's Nyman, Hans Nyman. Hans Nyman's participation, that would have been something else. But to withdraw after you've lost a game, I mean, there was basically, everyone says that over the board game was completely legit. There are cameras on Nyman the whole time. The organizers looked at the case. There wasn't any evidence that he cheated in that over the board game. Yes, Nyman has form, apparently, a few years ago with online play, but we're talking about that particular game. So to sum up, it's all about evidence, and we haven't seen evidence so far. So if Magnus can produce some evidence about why he withdrew and why he objects to Nyman's participation, that's fine. And we'll look at that and make a judgment, but it has to be about evidence. So that's all I've got to say on that, really. Navjot Singh says, how can I beat a good chess player? How can I practice for free? How to join chess tournament for low-level play? Listen, just play online. And if you want to play over the board chess, get in touch with, if you're in the USA, get in touch with the USCF and get some advice on where your local chess club is. But yeah, you can start playing online on any of the numerous sites, chess.com, whatever. Good way to get lots of practice. Okay, Leo's Lustiger Läufer. Do you have any thoughts on the Reti Gambit? Is it suitable for 1500, 1600 players? Which side is most of the time? I don't even know what the Reti Gambit is. If someone could tell me what that is, I'll tell you. But in general, on openings, if you think it suits you, make your own mind up. Test it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, move on. What tactics collections? This is from Straight Shooter. What tactics collections have you studied? E.g., do you have any experience with Improve Your Chess Tactics 700 Practical Lessons by Jakob Neustadt? I'm considering studying, memorizing that collection, but there are so many. I don't have any particular tactics book in mind, but if there's, that sounds good, 700 Practical Lessons. I would say try to solve puzzles on a real board. That helps. As a kid, I just read through books. The Game of Chess by Harry Golombek, a very old book published in England, and it had some tactical exercises. And you learn by playing as well. But that sounds like a good one to start. Yeah, just solve puzzles on your own. Why not? Don't use an engine. Justin Goto says, could you address the topic of technology and cheating on chess, the Nyman Carlsen situation? Okay, well, I've mentioned that. Latest developments. No, I have nothing more to add than that. Evidence. We need some evidence, and then we'll make a judgment. But I don't particularly like the way Carlsen's handled it. Shivakumar Sundara says, please recommend a studies plan for average amateurs. Maybe specifically not puzzles, suggest books on studies, so endgame or middle game studies. Well, let me see. There's loads of stuff online. There are lots of courses online. Just check them out. Don't think that somehow this is going to solve all your problems or make you advance. I think it involves a lot of hard work. So instead of saying I need a study plan, then I would say play your own games. Don't just play madly, but take your games and then analyze them afterwards with your own mind before you look at games with an engine. And from there, try to work out what's going on. There are some good books. I would recommend my Power Play DVD series. Well, they're downloads now from ChessBase. There are lots, I give lots of examples, and there are lots of examples for you to study as well. There's so much material out there. Go to chess.com, chess24 also has lots of stuff, lots of sites. What's your favorite and least favorite opening? This is Scholar's Mate asks, what's your favorite and least favorite opening for white and why? Oh, golly, for white. I played a whole range of openings with white. When I'm playing with white, what's the least favorite? I don't know. I just used to enjoy playing with white, basically. It's just much more fun than black. Whether you're playing e4 and d4. If you play main lines, seize the center. I should say, yeah. Basically, I liked to play e4, d4, c4. Playing in the center, basically. Gaganpreet Kaur says, how to join tournament both online and offline? Well, that's easy. Just go to any of the major chess sites and join any tournament. That's not difficult. And that's an interesting question. Alekin's Cat says, what is the future of printed chess books? Well, you can see behind me I have stacks and stacks of books, and they're gathering dust. There's so much fantastic material online that, these days, a young player doesn't need to look at books. However, I think, well, for example, in fact, let me get my latest book. So here is my latest book. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. There you go. King's Kalashnikov Sicilian. So I wrote a book on the Kalashnikov Sicilian. That's based on my Chessable course, the Kalashnikov Sicilian, which is on sale at the moment on Chessable. So what I did was I basically converted that course, the Chessable course, into a book and added a few more things. You get a better overview with the book, basically. With a turn of a page, I can see, there's more space devoted to that particular line. Many people prefer a book form. It's up to you whether you prefer the printed book, the printed version of something. It's just the medium. I think the chess books, printed chess books, have a great future. And I think, just in general, if we think of things like Kindle and, ebooks, then it's kind of stabilized between printed books and e-versions. Basically, a lot of people thought, ebooks, they're just going to take over. In fact, just generally in the publishing world, it's actually stabilized. And the printed word is actually holding up. So Supervin says, do you prefer chess books or chess videos? I prefer chess books. There we are. Right, Supervin says, another question, for an ambitious player around 1800 to 2000 ELO, would you recommend learning super sound but very theoretical systems like the Martian and Grunfeld, or something slightly less good but arguably easier to learn thanks to the fact that they have fewer structures like the Dutch and the French? I would actually recommend simplifying the task and sticking to openings with one structure. Problem with something like the Marshall, the Spanish Marshall with black, is that before you get there are so many deviations that there's just too much to learn. And the Grunfeld, wow, that's theoretically so difficult. In a way, I think the Grunfeld is easier to handle. at that level, because at least you get in 3d5, you've got your opening in. But with the marshal, well, good luck if you actually manage to get in the marshal. But yeah, I would say keep it simple. So, I mean, maybe the Dutch, you have to be very careful. It weakens your king side in practical terms. You have to be very careful. French, that's very sound and gives you often a very similar pawn structure. So it's about strategy. I mean, that's why I often recommend the Queen's Gambit declined for black, because you play e6, d5. You play, you'll put your pawn on d5. You defend it with e6. Play knight of 6, bishop e7, and you castle. Well, what can go wrong when you castle at such an early stage? It's totally sound. And, in a sense, you're never going to lose in the opening. You're not going to get outplayed in the opening. It's all about whether you understand the middle game battle. So I would, in general, recommend keep it simple when it comes to learning openings for, basically, I would say under 2,000. Anyone under 2,000. Well, this is a related question. Exploding Fists, lovely handle. Hi, hope you're well. What 3 openings would you recommend study for a beginner, please? Thank you. I would say again, well, same advice, keep it simple. Queen's Gambit declined with black. I would say the Spanish as white, or the Gioco Piano. And that's playing with, not with knight g5 and stuff, but playing Gioco Piano with d3 and c3 and castles and knight bd2, or just knight bd2 and put the knight round via f1 to g3. Keep it simple. And against e4 with black, I would say, well, I actually recommend the Sicilian. I know this probably sounds incredible, but with black, even as a kid, I never played e4, e5 with black. Never in my entire chess career. I always played other stuff. And actually, I learned to play the Sicilian from a very, very young age. And I have not regretted that. People think there's a lot to learn. Actually, with things like the Kalashnikov, you keep it very simple because you get a very similar pawn structure on each occasion. So I would actually recommend the Sicilian with black. It's an interesting question. Muches says, what is your feeling before a classical chess game? Thanks. Anticipation, excitement, nervousness. Of course, that nervousness hopefully will translate more into excitement. I like that kind of controlled feeling of excitement, anticipation. And it's great to start. And, I loved it when I was playing tournaments, when you're able to build up to a long classical game. You do your preparation. Hopefully everything's going well. You feel good. You've been able to prepare properly, and you go into a game feeling well prepared, physically fit, mentally strong, and ready for the battle. And then whatever happens, happens. But to get to the board and you're feeling strong mentally, strong physically, well prepared, it's a great feeling. And if you lose, fine. If you win, fine. Whatever happens, good feeling. So here we go. Hello, this is SM123456789. Hello, sir. I want to ask you about how to bring perfection to our chess matches in terms of our middle game and tactics, and if we should play chess intuitively or analytically. Wow. Well, first of all, if you're trying for perfection in a game of chess, you will struggle. That way leads to you put so much pressure on yourself and leads to time pressure. So try to play a good move rather than the best move. Should you play intuitively or analytically? I would say it all depends on the position. When you have a very complicated position with lots of piece interaction, then you have to analyze and calculate carefully. In a position which is maybe locked, there's less interaction between the two forces, two sides, then you have to play in more general terms, more intuitively, looking at maneuvers. So it all depends on the position. Firepower 100 says, do you still keep in touch with Kathy Forbes? Remember your commentary with her and Spillman in 1993 World Chess Championship. Yeah, I should explain that in 1993, there was the World Chess Championship final in London, and I was part of the TV team on Channel 4 on normal TV, which was very exciting. For 2 months, you know, I'd be walking down the streets and, you know, people would kind of spot me in the street because I was on TV like four nights a week. It was mad. So yeah, we had a little bit of celebrity at that time. I'm not in touch with Kathy. No, I think she sort of left the chess world. I'm in touch with John Spillman. Yeah, he's still active, and yeah, John's a fantastic guy. It's Rookcliffe Sackmate says, it's sometimes said that as black, you should be satisfied with a draw out of the opening. Would that be harmful to ambitious young players aspiring to improve? Absolutely. You know, when you're starting out, you just grab wins wherever you can. And, you know, that whole attitude of being satisfied with a draw with black, that's very much at the top level where, you know, to neutralize a white advantage is really important and sometimes very difficult. So, and often you can be satisfied with a draw in that case. But no, when you're starting out, no, you should be playing for a win with black, absolutely. So Jamil Dibwad says, would it entail practically to prove that no cheating occurs electronically or otherwise? The professor's statistical games are worthless because advice can be used intelligently. Please analyze the highs and lows of most performance, even within games. Aronian got confused. Okay, well, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, I don't pretend to be an expert in analyzing cheating according to, you know, algorithms or whatever. I leave that to other people. All I can say is that, well, for example, in this latest online tournament from Hans Nyman, we've seen lots of ups and downs, and he looked like he was playing pretty regularly to me. Where one says, I know you are keen on the Kalashnikov Sicilian. Yes, here we go. I'm going to hold up my book again. Kalashnikov Sicilian, great. I used to play it as a kid, and it's a good opening, very practical opening. So he says, I know you're keen on the Kalashnikov Sicilian. Thank you. What do you think about the Sveshnikov? Do you think it's more risky? Well, I should say that I started out playing Sicilian 4e5, which can lead into the Kalashnikov. And then in my teenage years, I actually moved on from the Kalashnikov to the Sveshnikov because the pawn structure is related. That's the great thing about the Sveshnikov. But I moved on when I was at a certain level. I was round about, let me see, probably 2000, 2100, 2200, approaching 2200 mark. And at that age, I was like 15, 16. Oh, no, I was stronger than that at 15, 16, closer to 2300. Basically, at that time, I was able to understand the opening much better. And I also had the time and energy, you know, in my mid-teens to absorb all this theory. With the Sveshnikov, this is the big difference. There is masses of theory with the Sveshnikov, and if you get it slightly wrong, you can get absolutely crushed. With the Kalashnikov, actually, it's far more strategic. And if you just have a general understanding of the Kalashnikov, then that will often carry you through. Yes, it's good to know some detailed theory, always helps, but you can get away with general understanding because there's always a very similar pawn structure. With the Sveshnikov, wow, you know, basically don't bother with a social life when you play the Sveshnikov, because it is so detailed and sometimes very, very difficult to understand. But it's your choice. If you think you have the time, then that's fine. You know, they're both very decent openings. Right. Magnus Carlson fan 1 from Canada says, hello, GM King. The question I have is, what would be your choice for an opening gambit if the goal of the white piece player is to end the game as a draw? Wow. In other words, which opening leads to the greatest possibility of white to force a draw, in your opinion? Thank you for taking time to provide answers. Golly, I would sort of quibble with the premise of your question, because I've never thought about seriously playing for a draw with white. I guess a gambit could give you the initiative, which might help you to force a draw. I'm not sure. I find that really difficult to answer. If you're playing for a draw, I wouldn't necessarily play a gambit. I would try and play my normal game. Play main lines, be staunch, play classically, put my pawns in the middle, and try to get the advantage. You know, that might be the best way to play for a draw. I wouldn't play the King's Gambit if I were playing for a draw with white. Let's put it like that. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not sure I'd play a gambit. That's the thing. Shribargov says, hello, King. I'll take that. I have a question that is, how much do we have to practice to secure a rating like 1900? Wow. I don't think you can sort of put, I wouldn't set an arbitrary limit. Basically, let's just talk about how do I improve. Play as much as possible. And then once you've played, go back and study what you've done. What went well, what went wrong. And then play again based on what you've learned. There we are. Right. Mung Bucket, great name, says, common advice for learning a new opening is to study model games. Okay, but how do we find model games? Well, I would say any good course or any good book should provide you with model games. Gives me a chance to promote my book again. I start, before I give the repertoire for black, with the Kalashnikov, for example, I have 20 model games that I map onto the repertoire, and that provides gives you an idea of strategy. So I would say any decent book should give you model games. Any decent course. I mean, I think most Chessable courses will provide, I think, model games. I certainly do with my Chessable course, and I'm sure the others do as well. And I think that's really, really important. If you have a particular opening you play and you, if you have chess base, then I would say, for example, if you like, I don't know, let's say the Queen's Gambit declined with black. What I used to do was go through games by the strongest players. So, for example, when I started learning the Queen's Gambit declined, I used to play through games by Boris Spassky, fantastic exponent of the Queen's Gambit declined with black, Tartikover variation. So I used to play through his games. Now, very easy to find. You know, if you go into ChessBase, well, when I was studying, I had stacks of these books behind me, Spassky's Best Games, and Informator. That was how you used to, you know, get the latest information. Now it's so easy. Go onto ChessBase, you look at a particular opening, you type in a particular name, and boom, all the games of Boris Spassky come up. Boom, all the games of Geller come up if you want to look at games with a particular opening from a particular player. So easy. So ChessBase is a wonderful tool, but you know, you can find online databases as well. So yeah, I used to look at the best players that played the opening, and I think, yeah, I'm going to learn strategy from the best in the business. It's a good way to go. Alexis Masamba plays, can I make money from chess? Well, that's a pretty open question. There are lots of ways to make money from chess. First of all, you could become a very strong chess player and win prize money in tournaments. You could become a very strong chess player and perhaps become a chess coach and give lessons to people. You could write some books. You could give courses, chessable courses. I mean, these are all ways to make money. And there are various other ways as well, if you're creative. Right, Phil Salath. A few questions from the States, which I'll post in separate entries. Number one, talk us through your win at the Goodrich International in 1992, not just the win over the Vichy, but the whole thing. What do you think accounted for your success? Would you consider that a high point in your career? Okay, let's start with that. Okay, I'm very happy to talk about that. So the Goodrich International, 1992, this was held in Calcutta and it's a tournament I won. Yeah, real high point for me. It was a wonderful occasion. I loved visiting Calcutta. What an amazing city. I was treated so well there. I remember the closing ceremony, walking down a red carpet where on either side there were beautiful women dressed in wonderful saris who threw rose petals over me. Now, that's quite a high point in my chess career. You'll understand. So that was really nice to be. I was so well received there. So thank you to everyone at that tournament in Calcutta. It was wonderful. What accounted for my success? I was so focused on playing. I was studying a lot. I felt good. I felt comfortable there, and it just everything clicked. You know, I was really concentrated. Other games in that tournament, the real highlight. Actually, I would say that my penultimate round against Jan Elvest. Well, Elvest was a Soviet player. I mean, now I think he lives in the States now, but grew up in the Soviet Union, and I've known him through various tournaments we played together. A tough competitor, and we had an unbelievable game where, you know, got to a mad time scramble, pieces flying all over the place. And yeah, it ended up, well, we made it through the time control, ended up in a drawn end game, but it was a wild game. And, you know, he really threw the kitchen sink at me. And it was an amazing feeling to survive that, because I really respected him as a player, really tough player. So actually, I remember that game in particular that I felt good at, felt really proud of, actually, even though it was a draw. I remember going out afterwards, I mean, my head was spinning, kind of, it was a mixture of sort of relief, but pride. I felt very proud that I'd played a really nice game. I remember I went to a cafe, and there's one of these, it was at night time, cafe in the bustling streets of Calcutta with, you know, all of humanity passing by you, and just talking to some people in this cafe, and a strange experience, actually. I got chatting to a guy from London who happened to be a chess player. I mean, he wasn't at the tournament. He said, oh yeah, I play some chess. He said, I play in Hackney Chess Club in London. It was wow. It was just it's just a mad coincidence. Yeah. Anyway, I loved it. Question 2, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what do you know about chess now from which the young DK could have benefited? Yeah, actually, I think I would probably be a bit more single-minded about my chess, because sometimes, how can I put it? I used to enjoy myself quite a lot at chess tournaments, going out a lot and having a good time. So a bit more single-minded, but also maybe to get some better advice from a good coach. I think that I would have benefited from that, actually. And finally, Phil Salath says, What's your favorite guitar solo? And is it Dave Gilmore on Time or John Mclaughlin from the Mahavishnu Orchestra? Wow. Yeah, many of you might know I'm a musician as well. I play the guitar, I play the electric bass, I play the double bass. I play lots of different kinds of music. I'm currently playing in a tango band. I also play in a kind of classic rock band. I used to play in a jazz, my double bass with a jazz band, all kinds of stuff. So do I have a favorite guitar solo? Okay, this might surprise you, but I wouldn't have picked Dave Gilmore or John Mclaughlin. I really like, this goes way back, I really like Django Reinhardt. So he played in this amazing swing group. So he was from Belgium. He played, well, they call it gypsy jazz, and played just the most beautiful jazz guitar, swing guitar, influenced by gypsy music. And one of my favorite songs is Minor Swing. Minor Swing, played by the Hot Club of Paris, with Stefan Grappelli on violin and Django Reinhardt on guitar, and that is just incredible. So I really like Django Reinhardt. And this is off the top of my head, because there's, I love guitar music. The solo Until the End of the Day by the Kinks, Till the End of the Day, that guitar solo is just a joy. Right. Right. Scrabbleman says, what did Magnus Carlsen do to become so strong in endgames? And do you believe, as many have claimed, that Magnus is the greatest endgame player ever? Yeah, I think Magnus is an incredible endgame player. And yeah, I would put him as maybe one of the best ever endgame players. What did he do? He practiced hard. He plays hard. He never gives up. It's a lot to do with personality. Turing Tester says, are you still playing competitive chess? I'm not actually. No. You know what? I've got so many activities going on. I have family, I have kids, I have a wife. And I play a lot of music and work and family. And what I learned from playing chess is that you have to devote yourself 100% to playing in order to play well. And I'm not content to play what I believe substandard would be substandard chess. So no, I don't play professionally any longer. Wanino03 says, please tell me about the Petrov defense for beginners, intermediate players. Can you recommend it? Or better try something richer like Sicilian. Thank you, Wilson. It seems to me that Petrov is an excellent opening for black because it offers very straightforward development. And, the quicker you get your king to safety, the better. So straightforward development. It's not too complicated. I think one can play the Petrov without knowing too much theory. You can play it on general principles, develop quickly, get castle quickly. So from my point of view, I think that ticks the boxes. But also, after e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, you've got it in. It's not like the Marshall Gambit I spoke about earlier, where, it goes down, you only get it in after white has to be very cooperative. So it's a very different thing, basically. So yeah, why not play the Petrov? It's practical, straightforward, it's principled, strong opening principles, good opening. GM Kid says, will cheating end over the board chess tournaments? Well, I would say the opposite. It's far easier to cheat online. And I would say, in fact, I hope that all these online scandals, because what we're going through now is not uncommon. with online tournaments, but I hope it will lead to more over-the-board chess tournaments, because it's much harder to cheat there. I mean, as long as there's proper security. So yeah, the opposite. Right, let me see. Muches says, hello, what are you thinking about in a chess classic game? Are you walking in a chess classic game? So, okay, classical chess, am I walking around a lot? I had this thing where I really didn't get up from the board very much when I was playing a classical game. I used to check in, and that was it. I would be sitting on the board for however many hours, 4, 5, 6 hours. I took the view, the more you sit at the board, the more you look at the board, the more you see, the more you analyze, the better you play. For me, it's that simple. If you make a move and you get up and walk around, you don't see as much. It breaks the spell, it breaks your concentration. And I always feel that the players that get up and walk around a lot, they're more nervous. So I taught myself to sit at the board, even if you feel you want to sort of take a break from the tension at the board. I taught myself to just sit there and take it. Even if you're nervous about the position, you just sit there, because you're more likely to, you're going to see more. It's as simple as that. But everyone is different. Peter Svidler, for example, he makes a move and gets up and walks around, and he's still thinking about the game. But that's not for me. And I think I know that it helped my chess considerably when I did that, when I learned to focus totally on the board. I've got some questions here. Actually, I can't see any more questions at them. I think there are more questions, but I'm not quite seeing them. But I've got some questions here that were asked on my YouTube channel, so I'm just going to go through these. So Mike Dawson, who's on my Patreon channel, actually, one of my patrons, said, do you think rapid chess will take over and traditional time controls fade away? That, there is that trend, there is that tendency. There's more weight being given to, let's say, rapid chess and blitz chess. We now have a rapid chess world championship. We have a blitz chess world championship. And it's controversial how much the World Chess Championship, as with Carlsen sort of saying, I've had enough. It's a little bit controversial now. A lot of people saying it should be speeded up. So yeah, I think rapid chess actually eventually will take over, actually, particularly with players learning a lot of theory. So I think it's inevitable. It won't happen, in the next 2 or 3 years, but after that it could. I think I'm going to get a bit of advice from my mod. I need to refresh the page. Oh, here we go. So I think there's more incoming, as they say. Yeah, here we go. There's absolutely loads of questions. Let me answer another one from my YouTube channel. Do I believe Magnus should be banned for refusing to play against Nyman? No, I don't think that at all. No matter what comes out of this, either way, absolutely not. Fundhund62 says, why do you think it is that player styles are such a neglected area in chess literature and also in modern media? Are they? I mean, I talk a lot about player styles. I mean, maybe it's because these days, maybe it's the end of style with chess machines becoming so powerful that it's basically, is it a good move or isn't it? Maybe that's the reason. But, I think people do have different chess styles. Wow, I've just realized there's absolutely stacks of questions here. I'm gonna have a quick slurp of tea. Cheers, folks. There you go, with my favorite Octopus Night mug. I need to go back. Oh golly, there's absolutely loads of questions here. Wow. PJ Harvard says, "What's the capital of Honduras?" Well, indeed. Right, let me go back. I'm just going to dip into these questions. This is tough because there's so many. I'm going to have to rapidly go through these. Golly, there's so many. This is crazy. I'm going to have to dip in. Oh, this is a nice one. Imperator 60. Hi, Danny. Gary here from Kent Junior days many years ago. Oh, fantastic. Hi, Gary. Bought your Kalashnikov book and also the chessbook course. Great stuff. Tried it online. Any suggestions when white plays 3 bishop b5? I should say, Gary, I'm working on an anti-Sicilians course for black right now. You just have to be patient. It should be out, I'm hoping, in December. Yeah, bishop b5 is, I understand, a sort of problem for a lot of people. It's a good move. You know, it can be very dangerous. I'm actually going to recommend 3 knight f6, which isn't the most normal move, but I think it's a good move. But yeah, I'm afraid you'll have to wait for my course, basically. But nice to hear from you, Gary. Let me see. Arabian Chess Friends asks, how to be a grandmaster if I'm in a country that chess isn't famous for? How I can't find tournaments or coaches. Play online. Play online. I think that's the best way. You know, you can play 24/7 basically. Thank you very much, Rahul Pandita. That's a very nice comment in India. Lots of love from India. Lots of love back. Dave Bland says, do you miss the days when you and Spess analysed the Kasparov short match in '93? Huge for chess in the UK. Do you ever see it happening again? Not really, no. I mean, I think chess has basically gone online, and you know, there are others that have sort of taken over. I mean, there's so many good commentators. I think the Chess24 team, David Howe, Ivanka Huska, Simon Williams do a brilliant job. In St. Louis as well, great commentators. You know, I still commentate as well online, but I think online is a great home for chess, basically. And I don't think we're going to see it on sort of regular TV again. I could be wrong, but you know, I think there's so much great commentary out there now. James Moriarty asks, hi Danny, any tips on how to play blindfold chess? You can practice it. You know, take a book and chess book and practice visualization. It's all about visualization. You can do that by, for example, going through some of your own games. You know, supposing you played a game down a club, take the score sheet and play it through in your head. And actually, it is possible to practice that visualization. You will get better and better at it. And that's basically blindfold chess. Let me see. Golly, so many questions. Thank you very much, everyone. Yes. Okay, folks, I'm going to have to wrap things up fairly quickly. So I will just dip into some of these questions. We'll have to do this another time. There are so many questions. Thank you so much. Amit Dash says, do you also play the piano? Yeah, I've talked about my music. I do also, I wouldn't say I play the piano very well, but I bash around on the piano. It's good fun. I can play blues and boogie woogie and a bit of jazz. That jazz, that means that, you know, if I make a mistake, that's jazz. Let me see. Oh golly, I'm just dipping through these. Anizan says, hi Danny, how do you look so young at your age? Do you have some fitness regime like cardio supplements? Supplements, what a load of nonsense. I've got a very healthy appetite. I eat anything I like, as long as it's good food. Lots of fruit, lots of veg, fish, meat. Supplements, nonsense. You're just being sold a myth. But yeah, I'm active. I like to be physically active. You know, I like cycling, I like walking, I like swimming. Let me see. Oh, this is a nice one. Mr. Swift Tickle, great name, a notable person in the chess community. Oh, golly. I can tell you about Korchnoi. You know, I played against Korchnoi a few times. We played 4 times, no draws. 2 wins, 2 losses. That's my record against Korchnoi. And, you know, I met him on lots of occasions. Interviewed him a few times. And, okay, I mean, you know, I could tell you lots about that, but there's one particular experience I had. He played this wonderful Rook and Pawn in game against Karpov to level the Baguio match 5-all, 1978 Baguio. So this was Korchnoi's 5th win. Beautiful Rook and Pawn endgame. And I looked at Korchnoi's analysis, and this was in the days before computers, before chess engines, and I analyzed this very carefully. And I found, another way that Karpov could draw in the analysis. I mean, it was just, I love this endgame that Korchnoi played. Beautiful win. And I met Korchnoi at one of the Swiss League matches, and you know, tapped you on the shoulder and said, you know, would you like to look at this endgame, because I found a new idea. You know, Karpov could have maybe drawn. So I showed him the idea, and he said, yeah. We analysed it together, and he agreed that I'd found, you know, a new idea. Not that it changed anything. It didn't matter. You know, I was in awe of Korchnoi's win and his technique in this game. But yeah, so that's a memory that stands out for me. Mahi asks, what's the best way to learn openings? It's useful to have anchor games for each variation. Is it useful to have? Absolutely, yeah. I recommend playing through complete games to get an idea of strategy before you look at the detail of a repertoire variations. Complete games are so important. I think I'm going to have to wrap up there. There are so many questions here. I'm going to have to do this on another occasion. But thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate that. And yeah, hopefully we'll do it another time. And don't forget, my Kalashnikov course is on sale on Chessable right now. Get it while you can. Thanks everyone for tuning in. See you later. Bye now.